King's Highway. On my way to glory, I feel like pressing on King's Highway.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to Music and Jesus. Come on in for Facebook Live, YouTube Live. You are welcome to Music and Jesus. Please feel free to share by the screen. And we're going to have a good time tonight.
Once you come your way, never give up, just pray. Wait your turn patiently. God will make a way one day. Many will laugh, they will say, show me that your God is real. The fact that I'm standing here is a testimony God's still there. Only you know what I've been through. Who could have set me free? Nobody but you.
Welcome. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. If you're there, let me know that you're there. Say hello, say something. Welcome to Music and Jesus. And today I have with me in the building, the one and only Dajourney. Stay with us for the next 16 minutes.
I'm on my way to glory, Lord. I'm pressing on the King's Highway. Feel like pressing on. Feel like pressing on the King's Highway.
The journey.
Yes, sir.
How you feeling, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Well,
I'm good.
to have you.
It's a pleasure.
Well, welcome to Music and Jesus, and today is the second edition. I'm so honored to have you as one of my guests, and looking forward to having a good time. Just chop it up and get right into it.
Pleasure is all mine, sir. All mine.
All right, so folks, if you are there, if you're online, let me know that you are there. I see Nikisha Lawrence. If you're on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, let us know that you are there. You're more than welcome to comment in the comment section over there. If you're on YouTube Live, grab the link, share it within your network as we talk about music and Jesus. And this is a forum created for music artists and musicians. We talk about music, what drives us, what inspires us to do music, whether it's music production. And today I have with me the gospel recording artist and producer, Orville Dajourney Williams with me. So let's get right into it. All right. So, Dajourney.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me put you side by side so folks can see you. There we go. This is better, I guess. Okay, wonderful. Well, once again, thank you for honoring the invitation and being my guest as part of this Music and Jesus. It's been on my heart for quite some time, but thankfully COVID has allowed us the time to be able to do this. I think I've known you since I think 2000 and probably 2011, 2012, around there. I think that's where we met.
Yeah, I've known you since 2010, but we met up after that.
Right, so, right. And it's funny how God allows people's path to cross, and it's like one of those things where it's like high and by, and fast forward years later, we become friends, and
it's amazing.
We take a trip to Ghana, and we get closer, and it's like, man,
it's crazy. The journey continues.
The journey continues.
Yeah.
Man, I love your music. I'm growing up in Ghana, you hear, and I'm sure you saw when we went to Ghana, Africans love reggae music, love the dance. So even gospel music is sort of influenced by reggae music.
Yeah.
Right. So I've had this love relationship with reggae music, but for you to also take it, to a different level in gospel music, we're going to get there and just kind of get into your approach to music. Yeah. But tonight, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? Who is Dajourney? I know we've had conversation of your personal life testimony and what have you, but what would you like, our viewers to know about you? Who is Dajourney? And then let's take it from there.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to say hello to everybody on the live right now. Hope everybody is good. Everybody's staying safe. Based on what we're facing right now. But a little bit about the journey, man. The journey is a guy who's been through so much. It doesn't show on the outward appearance, but the journey is strong, and that journey is about serving God and motivating.
Mm,
That journey is about being humble. That journey is about not the one to cast the first stone.
right.
That journey is not the one to be hypocritical. That journey will tell you as it is, how it is. That journey is the peacemaker.
Mm,
That journey is the overall most important family man. That journey is on a journey.
yeah. The journey is on the journey. Beautiful.
I was born in Jamaica. I moved to Canada 2009 after a whole ordeal of mishaps. I'm just gonna get straight to the points. Finished school, had life, living a little bit in the fast lane, went to jail, all that thing, and I was always God fearing. I was always a Christian, so to speak. I was always in the church. I can never avoid church. I can never wherever I go. It's like church was like a trap. It was like a good trap. I couldn't avoid it. So always in music. Always knew that I wanted to do music from a young and tender age, and moved to Canada 2000, ending of 2009 into 2010, and I left a lot of stuff behind, but I've never left God behind. I
Mm,
took that with me. So that journey is just what you see is what you get. What you hear in my songs, what you see on my profile, whatever I post, whatever I talk about, however I treat you. That's the journey. You ain't gonna get it better. You ain't gonna get it less. That's me.
amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
man.
You talked about the journey is about humility, and that's one other thing that I admire about you, that you have quite a bit. And every now and then when we talk, you remind me of myself. There are a few things that we do that people don't know. You kind of keep it
Yeah,
on the low.
yeah,
But hearing your story and where you are now is very exciting, and I thank God for your life.
man.
Um, I know you touch a little bit about your story. You went to jail. I mean, you went to jail, and then what transpired from there up until this point?
So I would say, firstly, I was in the police force in Jamaica. I was training to be a cop, and as I said, I was living in the fast lane. I would say, I would say it's peer pressure, trying to fit in. I had the facility to do things that people living in the fast lane was doing. The money, the car, the girls, everything was all there. But at some point, life will catch up on you, and you have to make a decision. It's gonna be yeah or nay. And after I went to jail, and it's like there was a section of my life where it's like a pie chart. In that little piece, like everything was going wrong. It's like from one thing to the other. And I remember one time my grandfather had told me, he said, you know what? Because I wasn't going to church anymore and everything, and I used to take him to church and then leave. And he said to me, "You forget about God, God go forget about you." God bless Mr. Thomas. May his soul rest in peace. And jail catch up with me, man, friends, and I'm telling you, like most of the things you see me sing about in my song is real life experience.
Mhm.
I don't think I have one song that is not an actual event that happened, something that happened to me, and I believe that is my gospel. So after the whole jail ordeal, after the jail, I went to the force. Um, in the force, the whole jail thing came up again. Then I had to sit out for a couple of years because they say, you know what, they have to investigate. But that was just God doing His thing. And now I understand how everything was working on what was happening. I see what He was setting me up for. All those failures were for end victory, which today I'm grateful. When I got into the police force, to be honest with you, when they came on the platform that morning and they said, "Oh, there's somebody here by the name of Aubrey Williams. We need to speak to you." man, it was crazy. It was 4 of us that walked out.
Wow.
So I don't think I was supposed to be there in the first place. So, got out, look over my whole life. I mean, friends left. Oh man. It was a tough. I almost went crazy. I could say. Let me say that. I was like, I was on the verge of losing it, big time. Like, imagine leaving from 20 pair of shoes to none. It was a shame walking through my community because people would be like, "Cause you were this, and then you came out, you got stripped down to this."
Right.
So it was, it really brought me through a real tough time. Like, I mean, I'm grateful for everything. Don't get me wrong, because now certain things don't phase me anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've been there. I done that. So after that, I took some time. I look over my life and I say, you know what, God, probably this is just you speaking. Probably this is, I need to get back to what I was called to do. I was leading praise and worship from a young age, even before I know anything about praise and worship. I started playing music. Nobody taught me.
Wow.
The church that I used to go to, Kilsit Baptist Church, we couldn't leave the instruments in the church. So I would have to pack them on my grandfather's truck in the morning, take them to church, and after church, pack them up and take them back home.
Right.
So they were in the house. So that's how I started ping pong, learning to play until that was it. Music became my thing. So, but jail was my Damascus. That was where I really, I spent 3 nights in jail. It wasn't a long time. It wasn't crazy. Like, but it was enough for me to know that, yeah, man, this is enough. And this jail life is not for me. Yeah, trust me. Yeah, jail. I know it's not a bed of rose, man. That's what the guys say. So being in there, and I had pull a lot of strings in order to get out, and I just decided that that was gonna be it for me with that type of life. And I surrendered my life to God, and I say, you know what? From now on, it's all you. Wherever you go, I go. And I can't lie to you, man. Life has been a blessing. It's still, the challenges still come, but the greatest thing is to look at my life now. Look at where I'm coming from. It's such a motivation for me personally. It's such a game changer. It's such a mental breakthrough.
Amazing.
Just to know that, man, these little things are coming at me now. Like, if I survive that,
Totally amazing, and thanks for being open and sharing that. And the reason why I asked the question is because I think as singers, artists, musicians, Levites, psalmists, it's important for people or our hearers to understand our story, the journey, to be able to identify and relate to where we're coming from. Because over the last little while, I've heard people can be very critical, even when it comes to music. Because and especially if you want to line it up with scripture and stuff like that, sometimes it may not necessarily be a direct reflection of scripture, but the core of the message is biblically driven, but the story that you're telling may not be cool. People may not necessarily understand. So I think it's very important that every now and then people get to hear and understand our story, where we are coming from, and what God has brought us through. So the moment you sing a stanza, people know, yeah, I can identify with that story. This was his Damascus, right? So, and if someone were to go through a similar issue, that song can be a speaking to them. And that's why I asked you that question. So now let's get past that. I know you had mentioned that church and gospel music has been with you from a tender age, and as artists and especially as a producer, there is always that fine line of temptation where you can be easily swayed and pulled into something else, because as a creative person, you don't just think of gospel music. And I'm speaking from a creative perspective because I'm a writer. So how do you cope? How do you deal with it? Because you're not just an artist, you're also a producer. Talking about production, you've worked with a whole lot of people. What's his name? Oh, snap.
I've worked with so many. There's Jason Mighty. Right now, we're working on DJ Nicholas's album up
Right.
north. I have a project coming up too, and there's so many people that I'm working with from Africa, from Kenya, all over, man. It's getting crazy, and
Talking about that, you owe me a track.
that,
I had to call you out on this one.
I got you covered, man. I got you covered. Trust me. Just time I've been buried in work, and I've been just trying to push as hard as I can, and to be honest with you, man, like I've only started producing 2 years now.
Right.
Lot of people would not believe that, because the type of work that I'm doing and the people that I'm working with, it's like people had to get like 10, 15 years under their belt in order to do stuff that I'm doing. But man, when something is for you that you're supposed to do, it doesn't matter when you start doing it.
Yeah, when God opens the door,
That's it. So but as you were saying, now back to your question about easily being straight away from, I'm gonna tell you straight, I ain't no golden child. I ain't no golden child, and there are a lot of things that come with this lifestyle too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily what you're looking for. There's a lot of things that come with it, right? But at the end of the day, you gotta learn to renew this, man. You gotta renew this mind.
Right.
You gotta always renew your mind and stay focused and know exactly what you're about. You will make mistakes, trust me. It's so easy. And sometimes you don't even know you make a mistake until it's already done.
Mm.
But we serve a God that is not judgmental, and this is my thing with people, especially as musician and artists. Just like, I don't think we give give them that room of a chance to live their true self, to know that, hey, it's okay to mess up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's even better to admit when you mess up and can correct your movements and move on.
Right.
Instead of feeling condemned. So I always have that in mind in the field and what I do. And I don't judge other people's progress based on mine or based on what, because everybody have a different gospel. So I've always put myself in that place where I just listen first. I listen first and just try, because it's so easy, man, to just get egotistic and to bring everybody else thing down, to just feel like, like I'm this. I'm not trying to be the man. God is the man.
Right.
God is that person. I'm just trying to be a reflection of what God wants me to be. You understand? So it's not in me to bring people down or to criticize or try to make myself look like man. I would work with anybody, any day, anytime, as long as the motivation, as long as the what do you call it, as long as what you're about is what I'm about.
And you've said something amazing, and I think, and especially as believers, we need to be very mindful of it. We have been sent, okay. We've been sent as sheep in the midst of wolves. How can we be a light to the world when there is no darkness?
Exactly.
Right. So, I think we need, because and there's a fine line to it, right? As far as the lifestyle that we live. So, I'm not sure if you've heard of Zaytoven. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Zaytoven. Yeah. So Dajourney is a big producer based out of Atlanta. Works with a lot of secular artists.
He's from the church,
but he's from church, and he's committed, dedicated to being in the kingdom, regardless of where he is in any part of the world. He has to be back on the weekend to take his post as a kingdom person. So I put it this way, that you can be in an environment, that Paul puts it this way, that we are in this world, but not of it. So we can be a place and still uphold our standard. And people will know that I can work with you, but I can't come to you with certain foolishness, with certain lifestyle. And that proves or is a great test of our standards, our true self. Because if we are truly saved, I mean, unless, before you got saved, you had some struggles that that you can't mess, because then, the scripture tells us to flee from certain things that is not pleasing to God. And if you know that is your weakness, that you do the best that you can to flee. But if it's not, then I believe we need to be able to stay true to who we are in Christ, so that we can make better impacts to those around us that are not saved?
For me, like, man, I'm a different animal from everybody else. Like, I'm never a type of person who follow the crowd. You know, I always just I follow my guts and I listen to what God is saying to me, and I, you know, it it gets, man. This work that we have and this work that we're doing is we have to unlearn a lot of things in order to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
For me as a producer, one of my biggest struggles was I do gospel music, and one of my closest nephews is a secular artist.
Mm.
And people would, if it's a very thin line, trust me, because you know I did a track for him before, and I was so scared to put my name on it. It took me a long while before I say, you know, okay, say Dajourney production, because it because of what he represented.
Right.
But I've also sat back the other day, I was looking at myself and I'm like, but if I don't associate myself with him, how will he ever see the light? You know, if I just leave him to do what he does because it's not what I do,
Mm-hmm.
how will he ever see that, you know, there's a chance of him doing right, you know, stepping away from that lifestyle? What if I am the light? What if I am that light in his darkness that's supposed to bring him over to this light?
Right.
You know, so a lot of times I think we leave a lot of people behind based on what we think other people might think of us, or based on what people actually say to you or say about you. You even stepped away from your calling because of that.
Mm.
Because who knows, sometimes that can be your purpose, that can be what you're supposed to do. But if you step away from it because of what you think is right,
Wow.
you know, I was asking myself, I want to ask you this question, because I asked my wife this yesterday. Do you think it's possible to still gain the world and not lose your soul?
To be in the world and not lose your soul?
You know how they said, what does it profit a man to gain the world and lose his soul? Can you gain the world and not lose your soul?
What does it profit a man? So let's know, like, what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So it's the intent. So it starts with the intention. So you can gain the world. It depends on the posture of your heart. If you understand that for you gaining the world, so what does gaining the world mean to someone? Does it mean all the pleasures of the world, or riches, or wealth? You can look at it from different perspective, but the text is solely referring to just forsaking God and focusing solely the world. So in that context, yes, you cannot gain the world and still save your soul, right? You cannot gain the world and still save your soul. It's like and that's why the Bible says you cannot serve God and mammon. You have to be or there. But if you are in there as a messenger to pull them out, that is a different case.
Strong. Because sometimes being in there pulling them out, man, is like saving somebody who's drowning. They'll pull you down.
Oh yeah. It is hard. That's what I was saying. Like, if it's something that, you know, there's certain environments that you used to have to struggle with while you're in the world, because as much as we are saved, that doesn't mean that we will never be tempted.
Yeah, the world's not gone. It's still there.
Right. So we have to take the right steps, proper steps, to make sure that we don't fall into those temptations. That's why when Jesus prayed, he said, and pray that lead us not into temptation. Yeah. So that urge is there, that temptation is there, but we need to take the right steps not to. It's like playing with fire.
Yeah.
You know, so, but thanks for sharing that. So let me play this song, if you can hear it in the back. One of your favorite songs that I have. Solid Rock, featuring Sonny G. All right, all of our viewers, we just want to welcome you to Music and Jesus. And tonight I have with me here gospel recording artist and producer Orville Dajourney Williams. Thank you for staying with us. If you're on Facebook Live, click the share button. And right now in the background, I'm playing one of his singles, Solid Rock featuring Sonny G. Give us a few moments. We'll be right back with the discussion. Open Jesus and not less. Top shelf, fearless. Never feel me yet from the way to my house. Only the kindness. Christ not from them, no other. Me not just nothing else, no other. Quick and around up the streets in the flood. I am the enemy of the God. First the solid rock. And nothing of that. All of the ground in the sinking sand. Yeah, yeah. All of the ground is sinking sand. Yeah, Lord, all of the ground is sinking sand. Concrete, steel, mark, break up, Jesus, break up. Titanium, comes from Lisa, but the like that foundation. Lean to the name, lights are feeble. Look around, none of them the word out. Get them out like evil. That seems to be fly like evil. All right, on Christ, the solid rock, I stand. All other grounds are sinking sound. So for those of you that have been in church for a long time, this piece is quite familiar. And I mean, talking about songs that we write that talks about our story. What drove you to write this song, and how did this concept come about, and how G also came to play?
Man, this song is really a blessing. Like I don't write songs. I'm not a writer, but I'm not the type of guy who will sit and write songs for days. I'll just hear a beat and I just hear what the beat is saying and I just speak what the beat is saying. So I remember I produced this beat. It was a late night and I felt like I want to sleep, but for some reason I couldn't sleep. I was in the studio. I'm like, you know what? Let me do another hour. So I just came up with the progression and I started building the beat. And I'm like, okay, it's all right. And that Sonny G, I got a guy, such a humble guy. I'm gonna introduce you to that guy too and let you do a platform with him. A guy is such a humble guy, and he lives in Florida. And I finished the beat, and I'm like, man, and right there and then, it just came to me on Christ the Solid, because I think at that time too, I'm always going through something. Man, if it's not the kids driving me crazy, it's something. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I don't know, and then I've always had this idea though that if I could revamp hymns, because to be honest with you, gospel reggae get a big fight because people can't see through the fact that it's not dancehall. It's actually dancehall beat with gospel lyrics.
Right.
But for some people, whenever they hear it, the first thing they hear is the dancehall beat.
Right.
They don't give it opportunity to hear the lyrics. Right. And I made it, and I that was the hook I came up with first. On Christ the Solid Rock I Stand. And I'm like, and the same time I was on the phone, Sony messaged me. It was like, hey, what's up, bro? I'm here in the studio too. I'm doing some work. And I'm like, Sony, you know what? I have a song, and I think I'm hearing you on the verses. And he was like, all right, send it to me. And I sent that guy the song, and the guy sent me back the song in 2 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so he literally stayed in his studio, did it, and I sat down and mixed that song. It was like, I think by the next day, we had that song done. I was like, he was the one who went ahead, did all the artwork and everything, and that song got, that's probably one of my biggest songs right now. It's gotten the most plays, and I think I know, because when I cross the hymns with the dancehall, now I'm starting to draw a new audience, because people are very easy to go with what they're familiar with.
Correct.
Young artists, if you're listening, take notes. People are very familiar. So once they hear on Christ the Solid Rock I Stand, honestly, I don't even think it matter what the rest of the song said.
Yeah, and there's a lot of factors when I get into my creative space, and I'm not one-dimensional type of guy when it comes to my creativity. There are times I get up in the morning singing a song in my dream, and I get myself singing it, so I have to record it so I don't forget. And there are times like you hear a beat, I'm like, man, this will go really well with something. Like you can feel it. It goes with
Right
something.
away.
Then
Yeah.
you think of your audience, how your audience will relate. You're thinking like through your head a million things that you can do with stuff, right? So I think for me, when I heard that song, on Christ a solid rock, I stand on all the grounds I sing and sand. I'm like, this is something I'm familiar with, but it's also very, it gets you. And not only that, you can just dance to it and you feel liberated and you are encouraged by the song.
Encouragement. Yeah, for me, it's about praising God and motivating, man. Like I have to really tell. Like I just touched the topic of saying, people don't really like gospel reggae, but gospel reggae is doing a lot for young people.
Mm-hmm.
It may not look like it's happening, but you got to understand, like we as leaders of the gospel or ministers of the gospel, we're actually it's like darkness and light in competition. Right. And this is another thing that I would really like for people to understand, that look, everybody has their job in this ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has their title. Everybody has to do what they're supposed to do. Right. You have people who are supposed to go out there in the world and bring the people to the church. You have people who are inside the church who will deal with those people. And you have people who deal with those people who deal with those people. Now, because you're not the one who gets sent out in the field to go get the person, don't criticize the other person's tragedy.
Right.
As to how he's bringing people in. The important thing is that he's actually taking, allow God to use his life to be a blessing to others. And I think as we have to understand that there's different parts in this thing that needs to be played by different people.
Totally.
You understand?
And I totally agree with you. And I think I shared this a while back. As you know, I did secular music. As a matter of fact, my first album was secular album.
Still haven't heard it yet, but yeah, you told me.
Yeah, it's just in my past, so oftentimes I don't want to bring it up. But I used to rap.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Man, I wish I had a picture to show you. Back in the day, I had one of those wave caps. When
Shabba haircut.
Yeah, I had all those things, right? So when I tell people I used to be, it's like they can't fathom, but that's amazing amazing things that God can do. So my first was a secular album. Then when I switched to gospel, it was hard. It took my Pastor Bransford Obey, you met him. He was the one that saw something beyond what I saw and protected me and helped me nurture it. And I transitioned from becoming from a rapper to becoming a singer.
Yeah.
So sometimes I think people just need to see beyond what they see now and see through how God sees things. Because and I think for me as a pastor, that's one of the things that really kind of helps me try to help encourage people and nurture, because you don't put God in a box.
Exactly.
God can use anything and anybody. If God can use Moses, a murderer, can use David, he can use anybody. If he can use Rachel and bring Jesus through that lineage, he can use anybody. So it's not up to us to judge and condemn people. We need to make sure that we keep the people grounded in the word and allow the Holy Spirit to guide them. As to how it turns out, we don't know. We don't make that call. All right. He can use anybody. Are you asking your focus for a bit there?
Yeah, we're good now.
Okay, good.
Yeah. You good now?
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so it's something that we need to pay attention to, and I think the older you get, it's very easy for you to be a bit more relevant. Of late, I've been thinking about doing some trap songs, but then I think about man, I feel like I'm too old for trap.
Am I in trap? Oh my God!
So that's for real though. I've been doing a lot of live recordings, live studio stuff over the last few years. But in this season, the young people are listening to trap music. I'm like, God, what kind of music is this? Makes sense, but they listen to it.
That's my point. how are we gonna win them with something that they're not interested in? How?
I don't get it.
It's
But
like, but honestly, man, like I, I don't know. Trap music is to me is just like a vibe because sometimes I don't understand nothing that you're saying. You know what I mean? But it's a vibe, and I'm like, people are listening. Like when you listen to Jamaican dancehall right now, like if me personally, I speak for myself because I don't see how I'm gonna sing Rock of Ages and win over these guys who are listening to these songs.
yeah,
I just decided that I'm gonna be a little bit more radical, you know. And I mean I've gotten not I wasn't the one who started reggae gospel. Reggae gospel started in Jamaica. I have to give credit to like DJ Nicholas, Prodigal Son, you know, Saint Matthew, a lot some of those guys in Jamaica who really those guys been through it. When those guys started, they couldn't even perform in church.
yeah, I can imagine.
That was like no way, nothing at my church.
Oh
But
yeah,
you know what I mean, it's
I
come a
know.
long way.
And if you get to an opportunity to sing in church and do that performance in church, people are just sitting there and just looking at you and wondering,
Yeah, yeah.
but, but you know what? Let me tell you one thing that encouraged me. My pastor Ransford at the time, I was in charge of this youth group called Kingdom Soldiers, and he gave us a church bus to go to a boarding school. And all we did was perform. We did rap whole thing. I read a scripture for like a minute or two, and did an altar call, and they were coming like crazy. I'm like, God, this is what you can do.
Mhm.
Right? So I'm in a different environment. I'm seeing what God is doing, but in the church, within the church, there are people that are so stuck in their ways and can't allow themselves to see
Yep,
what God is doing in that particular
yep,
season. So that can sometimes become a challenge.
yep. It has been. It has been a challenge, and you know, even I'm working on DJ Nicholas album right now, and like you would think I really, you know, sometimes you sacrifice so much. Sometimes too, you sacrifice so much, and because to serve God and to be in the eyes of the public doing it on a daily basis for 10, 15 years, it's not easy,
Yeah.
you know. So and then to live with the factor in your mind and know that, man, I can slip up today, and it's like the whole 15 years doesn't mean nothing no more.
Oh yeah. Oh
That's
yeah.
it's a scary place to live.
Yeah, that's the generation that we live in right now.
You know.
And the funny thing is, as a matter of fact, um, believers will judge you, but the world, oh my goodness, I know they don't know Christ, but they're harsh, man.
Yeah.
They strip you real quick.
So, man, I'm telling you. But you know what? I've reached a place right now where you see, once you reach that point where you're ready to make noise without anybody listening or nobody's paying attention to you, that's
Mhm,
when you've really taken on the mandate that this is what you're about.
mhm,
Because the noise doesn't matter anymore, you know. And for me personally, my ministry is a lifestyle.
mhm.
You know, it's not just when I'm on stage, it's not just when I'm in the studio. You know, it's the way I talk to my wife, it's the way I speak to my kids, it's the way I answer to any phone call, anybody who call me, it's the way I do my business. It has to reflect in all areas, you know what I mean? So I've been, I mean, that alone in itself is a lot of work. So I ain't got time to do all the other stuff that everybody doing, criticizing people. And nah, I'm, I'm way over that, man. You
Yeah,
know,
I personally I think it's just too low. Like
definitely.
it's too low. We got some comments coming in. Jam Girl, thank you for joining us again, all the way from Saskatchewan. We appreciate you. I appreciate the connection all the time. We have O'Neill, Omega Benjamin, Amen Ministry is your life. So again, all of you that are online right now that are viewing, we appreciate you tuning in. Do us a favor, type in there, let us know that you are there. Welcome to Music and Jesus, and today I'm in the building with the one and only Orville Dajourney Williams, and we are talking about music, singing, production, lifestyle, struggles, and you know it. Just chopping it up.
Right away, man. I've music has really, you know, introduced me to some amazing people along the way. I can, you know, even O'Neill. Big up yourself, O'Neill. You don't know, one of my day ones. That's my bad drummer, you know.
Nice.
and everything. And I mean, even you, Pastor Dom, I mean, like, man, you've been a blessing to my life. You don't know, but I've admired a lot of things about you, and I've picked things from your life, and I've used it to strategize a lot of the things I do.
Wow.
So, you know, yeah. So a lot of the times we gotta be careful what we do too, because we don't know who's watching, you know. And the person that you might turn away or turn your back on, that person might have had you for like a complete idol, an example, you know, and you just, because of ego, you turn your back on that person. And you know, I mean, you know, I bless God for everything that's been happening, man, and where music has taken me. 2020 has given me a brand new testimony. I gotta share this though. There's a song that I dropped the other day. The song is called How Should I Give Up on You? How If I Give Up on You? And as I was telling you before, every song I write is off something. You know, my wife was driving to work and my truck caught fire with her, right?
Word.
Yeah, yeah. My truck literally caught fire and burned to ashes.
What?
Yeah, that happened 2020. And you know, my wife, she was on the phone with me and she was talking to me and she was like, babe, I smell something funny. And I'm like, just pull over and check it, you know, see what's going on. But by the time she was to pull over, somebody was speeding down and was like, get out the car, the car's on fire. You know, and man, I tell you, it was a bit of a, I was a bit shaken up because I'm like, this could be a different story I'm telling you right now, you know what I mean? So I wrote a song, I'll give up on you. And I just know that every time I get inspired by something to do something, I know I inspire somebody, you know. So every day, man, I just gotta thank God for all the difficulties. I thank God for, you know, all the challenges. I thank him for all the victories, because people out there are not just having good times and feeling good about it. People are going through rough time. Man, 2020 has been a tough year, I can tell you, from a family perspective, from a business perspective, from everything. You know, I've had so many friends in England who contract COVID. You know, I speak to these guys on a daily basis, and the things they go through. I've encouraged so much people who call me, reach out to me. I'm just like, man, like, they feel like give up on life. You know, based on some of the things that's going on, they just can't pull through. And you know, man, I just thank God every day that I can be in a place where I can even speak to people in different countries musically. You know, just encouraging people, helping people to understand that, look, man, it doesn't matter how tough it is, you can't give up on God. You know, and I mean, I know for sure that my music or anybody music will reach some people that anybody music will not reach. You know, so I encourage all the artists, everybody who's doing what they're doing, our ministers, I would say, you know, man, be encouraged and be consistent and push on, even when there's no noise, even when nobody's not cheering. Just keep pushing, you know, get it done.
Amazing, man.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. So let's hear the song. And that's one thing I appreciate about music. There are testimonies in there. Give up when you the journey.
Wicked are the enemy, they come at me, they come and see, bigger than me, no the biggest become if you run and flee, but great easy, inside me, one up, but I trust in you, oh God, how me feel give up on you, one that journey yet pass him to, how me feel give up on you, and now I'm live to see me youth them grow, live to read the seeds I saw, where people wicked only got alone, no, how me feel give up on you. You give me a warning anytime things look unusual. God, you show them to me in the dream when them I do them ritual. I know not everything is as it seems. I'll never be delusional. Right now, prior life turn up and every move critical. One up, but I trust in you. Oh God, how me feel give up on you? One that journey yet pass into. How me feel give up on you? Them now I'm live to see me youth them grow. Live to reap the seeds I saw. Where people wicked out we got alone no. How me feel give up on you? Them fight me, yeah. More them fights and the more I cry. Just telling me just them feel comfort, yeah. Nothing knows that the blood that Jesus already ransom me. Anyway, you send it, you better check it. Yeah, I'm back to send it, yeah, we send it, yeah, we send it. Yeah, God, I'm a defender, and him will never let it. So if I you did set it, just know you will regret it. Darkness wanna take my light out. Yeah, them try to sing the light on, but them never realize how. I am lived, fun, but no, but I trust in you. Oh God, how me feel give up on you? Want that journey that goes into. How me feel give up on you? Them now want me live to see me youth them grow. Live to reap the seeds I sow. Where people wicked only God alone know. How me feel
Give
give
up
up
on
on
you,
you?
the journey, the latest, and this song is based off on a real testimony. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this song with the rest of the world. Unbelievable. So, as we all know, if you are going through anything, God will always be there to see you through. And today we've heard from the journey, his testimony, his wife driving on the road, the car catches fire and gets saved by it. It could have gone different ways, but by the grace of God, she's alive. I didn't have to attend a funeral. Bless the Lord.
All right.
Wow.
Always, man.
All right.
So
Go ahead.
so we just gotta be steadfast in what we're doing. And one thing I want to point out is that this is crazy because a lot of times as soon as we hear the word enemy, we tend to think about somebody else.
See you, Tan.
You know, I was telling my grandmother. I remember when my grandma one time, everything I used to say, the devil. Everything happened, I said, the devil, mom. My grandmother used to say, poor Satan. My grandmother used to say, poor Satan. Satan don't even know what happened to you this time. You blame Satan, because every time, most of the things happen, everybody always say, the devil caused it. You know what I mean? But man, music is my way of expressing what God is doing in my life. I won't say has done or will do, is doing, because he's a God that he's never stopped working. He's never stopped working. I've proven him from so many angles, in so many forms, and my way it may be a different way, but I feel it. I know it's reaching people because people have reached out to me. People have given and not just me. I'm talking like even I have to speak on gospel reggae because that's what I do. And for sure, man, I know a lot of people who do the singing type of worship. They actually look down on people who do gospel reggae and was like, yo, that music, you're not gonna go heaven. And it was like, who are you to even make that decision? So as we were saying before, give people a chance to live their truth, to do their work and help along the way if you can. If it's not for you, then leave it alone.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
totally. The heart, the posture of the heart really matters.
Yeah.
And I look at it as a language, and I was a struggle with it. Years ago, I used to attend this church, a big church. It was that was a huge one, and I struggled so hard because they were into real like hymns, and if you know me, I'm not
radical.
I didn't grow up in a Pentecostal church. I didn't grow up in an apostolic church and all. I was born and raised Catholic and got saved, got converted in boarding school. So I don't know all of that stuff. So then you think to yourself, man, so are you telling me that based on your view and your upbringing based off on Church of God church doesn't make me saved? And I know in my heart that I have this amazing connection with God. But our expression may be different. So think about it as a language. The fact that you don't speak Russian doesn't mean that you should despise how someone speaks to God just because you don't understand that you despise them, right? And I think we need to get to a level of maturity in Christendom, in faith, to also appreciate other people's giftings within the body.
Yeah, because a lot of doors will be closed on you just because of what you do. And it's a very it's a mind-boggling thing because I've seen where we become these people who we look at the fruits and forget about the roots. We would quickly put somebody in a suit and tie on your pulpit over somebody who is fully tattooed from head to toe without understanding the journey.
Mm.
And the journey is important. You understand? Because not because somebody's wearing a suit and tie, it doesn't mean that he's all good and all right. You
Mm.
know, but that's how we are programmed to, that's how we, you know, in Christendom, that's how we're programmed to think. We look at people and based on how they even look, we totally write them off.
Very true. Very,
You know what I mean?
to tell you true, years ago, again, this same church I was talking about, there was this guy that walked in with braids and on. Can you believe one of the pastors called cops on them to escort the gentleman out of the church?
That's a crazy mentality, man.
You know, God looks at the heart, not the outward. And you don't know what God is doing inside of someone. So I've always said, never despise, never disregard anybody, regardless of how they look. Give people a chance and watch God perform some amazing things in their lives.
Your blessing is not always in the high place, man.
Mm.
It can be that man sitting on the roadside that has your blessing.
Yeah.
But if you think you're better than that person, then you'll be walking past your blessing every day.
There you go.
Every single day.
Wow.
So, you know, I've grown, man. I've grown. I've been beaten. I've been battered, but I've grown so much. Like, you know, it's like roaches. The more you spray them, the more they get immune to the spray. I've been sprayed. I've been sprayed, man. And you know, my heart goes out to everybody out there I know who's getting sprayed. I want to tell you, spraying is not the end.
Yeah. The other day, I'm like, sometimes it's a bit, sickening. Christian, as if like we act like little kids trying to get the attention of the Father.
Yeah.
Only to realize that the Father loves us the same. And talking about that, I'm going to get into that piece as well. We fail to realize the Father loves us the same, regardless if we mess up, how we come to Him. He may not understand like our approach certain times, but that does not dismiss.
But that's
love for us.
I don't mean to cut you off, but that's a funny thing though, because you actually have people who think that God loves them more than everybody else. You know, you know what I mean?
And that is a problem.
It is. It's a big problem. It's because if you're walking around with that belief in your mind that God loves me more than you, then just imagine the things that you would say no and yes to.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy, you know. So, man, we gotta come correct. Like, I'm not bringing anybody else ministry. You do what you do. You're not a problem to me. You know what I'm saying? But I gotta speak about the things that I see people of myself and my circle that people make a problem, and it's not just me or here; it's worldwide, right? So, but I think we have a lot of shaping up to do, man. We have a lot of fixing up, a lot of acceptance, and you know, in order for us to move forward, there's a and you know what, you know what too. I think also there's not that much of a room space for people to express what they're really feeling to.
Yeah.
Because you want to talk about mental.
I was about to say that.
In the church, man, you have people who are going through so much, but we've created this fake facade to make it feel like everything has to be fine, everything has to be good. I tell you, I used to do prison. I had to step away from prison worship for a while.
I remember.
I had to correct myself because I'm like, it's just not right. Things wasn't good with me, but I was just there telling people, God is so good. No. One time I had to pull away and be like, God, come on, man. Then if I'm gonna be going out and telling people that you're good and you do it, do it in me. Do it. Mm-hmm. Let it manifest. Mm-hmm. You know, let my life be an example, because some of the times you do stuff, and because of that fake facade, you can't even get to the point of accepting that you actually did it.
Right.
It's too much to accept that you did wrong, or even that you did somebody wrong. That's one of the biggest things. People are so hard to accept when they hurt other people. Nobody say sorry anymore.
And that's a key to, we can't sing about a God that we don't have an experience or an encounter with.
No.
And it becomes a show. So let's shift gears for a few moments. So how do you as an artist, or how do we as artists make sure that we are in line, we are well connected. Because again, as I mentioned, we don't want just to be talking. And you did mention talk about lifestyle. We share with people what we have experienced, and we are bringing them on a journey with us as well. And as so that's a problem where the problem that this generation has with people who have certain who are fans of certain artists, because if they live a certain way, they want to live a certain way. If they see their favorite artist on Instagram just doing crazy things, they want to exemplify the same thing. So as an artist, how do you make sure that you keep focused and in tune with God to make sure that what you're singing is in alignment with your actual lifestyle?
As I said before, my ministry is a lifestyle. I used to, I can honestly accept this. I used to sing and I used to sing to a God that I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I used to tell people about a God that I didn't know.
That was an idol that you created.
I used to give testimonies of things that I never experienced, but it was just to fit in, to feel like I am in.
Mm-hmm.
It was a dangerous thing. It was a real dangerous path I was treading, because I had to get to that place, as I said before, where I was saying, God, like, if I'm gonna tell people about you, then I actually want to know who you are. I can't just be telling people things that I hear about you. And this is why my gospel or the music that I do is gonna be so different, and it's gonna hit different on so many levels, because you will not hear what you expect to hear from me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the guy who's gonna be always singing, God is good, God is great, God is awesome, God is amazing. Yes, we all know that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's people out there who are sticking needles in their hands every day.
Mm-hmm.
There's the man by the wayside who doesn't know what he's gonna, what some of us can say, we haven't eaten since yesterday, but you have another guy who can say, man, I haven't eaten since last week.
Yeah.
So I choose a different path, and I just decided that I'm not gonna be the guy who just speak about what I hear about God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna speak about the things that I experience, because if I speak about my experience, then I can relate.
True.
Because whenever you're not the only one. There's nothing that you go through that you are the only one who's experiencing that.
Yeah.
The fact, if you listen to the song that I did before, pressing on, in the song it says, people will laugh and they will say, show me that your God is real. But I break it down and I say, the fact that I'm standing here is a testimony that God is still there.
Work in a team, you should be using Monday.com.
You understand? So
Yep.
I want my life to be, man, I want the gospel of the journey to be, a full reflection of not just the things that you already know. Because God said we'll do greater things. So if you look, like, every day I pray, I thank God for my family, because I think my family is one of my biggest achievements. It's one of my biggest investment. It's one of my biggest responsibility, and I will never ever, like the way you treat your family, it can tell so much about you.
Sorry, I'm just going to get the song in here.
Yeah, bro, this song here, I literally recorded this song. I was bawling like a baby.
Yeah, let's take a quick listen and we'll be right back.
No matter what come your way, never give up, just pray. Wait your turn patiently. God will make a way one day. Many will laugh, they will say, show me that your God is real. The fact that I'm standing here is a testimony God's still there. Only you know what I've been through. Who could have set me free? Nobody but you. No. Hey, Lord, yeah. What I would have been without you. Pressing on, I wanna be with you. Yeah. So hard, bless Lord, what I feel way to glory, Lord, I'm pressing on the guitar. Feel like pressing on. Feel like pressing on the guitar. On my way to glory.
I feel like pressing on. I am on my way to glory. Wow. Well,
I
I'm
mean,
going to ask you the question. How do you balance? Because you mentioned something. How do you balance family, music, and business, and all of that stuff? Because I think sometimes people need to hear this. I talk to people, and I think it's really good to have a conversation about it as to how we do it. Because we're not humans, right? But how do you, as an artist, as an individual, as a husband, how are you going about this whole family thing? Because I think we share something in common where I didn't have my dad around to show me how to be a husband or to be a good father, a good husband, and all of that stuff. So I mean, for you, how do you what do you have to share with us? Go ahead.
music is a little bit loud on my side. Um, I'm saying the music is a little bit loud on my side.
Oh, okay. Sorry, go ahead.
Um, Everything in life is a balance. Can't be too much of one thing, too little of the other thing. You'll fall short. Um, it's not easy, and I won't leave it at that because a lot of times you ask people stuff and they tell you it's not easy or it's hard. No, but people want to know facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to prioritize, right? And you have to know what your life is about. You know, um, I had it all wrong when I was younger. For me, it was church, God. It was church, God, then my family,
Mm-hmm.
and my family started to fall apart.
Mm.
So I had to pull away again. And this is nothing is wrong with looking into your life and fix things, see what's not working and what need to be worked. But again, you have to prioritize.
Right.
Had to be. Is it gonna be church? Is it gonna be my family? Or is it gonna be God? Because trust me, it gets really. It's not an easy thing to choose because that's like the three most important or solid things that we grew up with are around is family, church, and God.
Mm.
But I had to reconstruct. I had to put God first, my family, and then church.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, my music is a lot of people don't have this, but my wife is 100% supportive of my ministry.
Mm-hmm.
Which that's one less fight. Because instead of always saying why you always have to be in there, she's the person who's saying why aren't you in there?
We need to get to that because I need some inspiration because of late I've been lazy. Actually, I haven't put out an album in a while. I've just been doing things here and there. I'm getting really lazy.
You know what I mean? So for me, it's all about priority. It's all about priority. It's about, you gotta put things into perspective. And I have my list. I have my priority list. And when I put things into my priority list, if it's not there, it's just not there. It has to come somewhere else. And my family is always right. It's always God, then my family.
Mm-hmm.
And basically that's my life. My ministry is about God, and I reflect it all through my family.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I said to you before, if you can manage how to deal with your family issues, if you can manage how to deal with your kids, your wife, your household, then you'll deal with anything in this world.
Amazing.
It's a tragedy.
Amazing, because I mean, it's a huge balance. Dealing with the wife, dealing with the kids,
Yep.
two extreme generations. Plus, you have to deal. It takes a whole lot, and you said it's not easy. Sometimes, I'm like, man, God, this is what we sign up for. like you're losing your mind, right? Trying to, you're the captain of the ship. You're supposed to
Yeah,
make sure that everything works and everybody's on the straight and narrow while
that's the
maintaining
key.
sanity.
That's the key you just said just now. Now the thing is, if you listen to my songs again, I never speak about things that. There's a song that you have to hear. I'm gonna send it to you. It's a Christmas song I just wrote. It's out now, but it's not on my page. It's called What If. But the thing about me is I never do things like, if you understand how a family is, picture your wife, your kids. Your wife need this from you. There's this little one calling you. Is that little one now? If you can't deal with that pressure, it's hard to be a. I'm speaking from people who are family oriented. I know everybody's not, speak. I have to speak from the perspective that I've mastered. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I will only tell you things or speak on things that I know I have mastered, because I
Right.
can give you advice on that. But if you can deal with that little child running through there and calling you for this and this one taking up the paper and your wife screaming your name, then just imagine when friends and families and everybody else is calling you for prayers, for counseling, for this, for that, for that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you can manage, if you can control your household and your family, trust me, you're on your way. So family, and this is why I believe God put family in our lives for an important reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's bigger than we think. Family is a very instrumental thing, especially in the life of a minister, because how you deal with your surrounding, it branches off to how you deal with everything else otherwise that comes towards you.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, man. I think I will save that for another edition of something else that I'm working on. But man, I'm enjoying this conversation so much, but I'm also watching the time because I
Yeah.
know the kids probably are waiting on you. Um,
Right.
you online schooling, you have to make sure that you get your homework done and the fights. I need to
Everything.
check on the little one of the little ones to make sure they're getting your homework done. But what does the future look like for the journey? I mean, what should we expect?
Hey, man, I won't put a limit on God. I'm just here to bear fruits, and I've been sowing. I've been sowing. I want to encourage everybody out there who want, when an idea falls from the sky or wherever the idea comes from, always remember you're not the only person who gets the idea.
Mm-hmm.
The person who manifests the idea is the person who will benefit from it. So don't be afraid to live your thoughts. Don't be afraid to follow your guts. Don't be afraid to hear from God. Don't confuse that voice in your head. When God is talking to you, He's speaking to you. Listen. You know, um, Stay motivated. Um, just sometimes just ignore the noise.
Mm-hmm.
Ignore the noise and speak things into existence. Think about it, because if you can't think it, you can. I Everything that I have, I see it before. It's manifested spiritually before I get the physical copy, and so speaking about this, I'm also speaking right now into my life as the journey, because I'm looking at big things, and there's some opportunities that have come my way that is just unexplainable. There's some things that I'm doing right now that is still unexplainable to me. But as I said, I'm just being a vessel right now. I ain't got no complaints. I ain't got no hatred. I ain't got no animosity against anybody. I'm just an open vessel to God. So I already told God, I'm like, God, use me, because and I used to think that we have a lot of time.
No.
But when I look at what happened last year, and I'm like, man,
2020 by like a minute.
bro, I took a pause and be like, I thought I was running, but I was really dragging my legs. Now I'm like, man, I gotta burn this night lamp. I gotta do more. Like, you know, and I want to encourage everybody also just to know that, look, like, it doesn't matter what the next normal is gonna be, but you still got work to do. So don't give up right now. Don't just lay back right now and feel like, when the other season come around, I'll get. No, we gotta be ready now for the next season. When the next season come, you should approach it head on, full on, and be like, okay, I'm ready for you. You know, so if you're an artist, keep recording. If you're a writer, keep writing. If you're a minister, keep ministering. Whatever you do, now is the time to go 10 times as hard and stay focused. Renew your mind. Forget about the past. Pass your past. Look to the future.
Mm-hmm.
Press towards the mark of the higher calling.
Wonderful.
That's where we are. And that's where the journey is heading.
That
right there.
That's amazing. That's very I love that. For those of you that are watching, we appreciate you hanging with us here on Music and Jesus every Tuesday at 8 o'clock. You never know who's going to show up. I never advertise who's going to show up. It's always a surprise. Just want to get you on here so that we can just chill out, just talk.
That's it.
You know, every time, like before the lockdown, every now and then it's very easy for us to get in the studio or around music and talk about music, but we don't get a chance to do it anymore. Now, this is the new normal. So we got about it and get everybody, you know, plugged in on these conversations. But Orville, Dajourney, I appreciate you. I appreciate the man that you are and the man that God is continuing to make you to be. I'm happy to know you. You're a superstar. I need my autograph.
Nah, man, I'm after you.
But it's amazing. To tell you honestly, I'm excited about this season and all that God has in store. And that word of encouragement, I pray that someone will really take it on. Don't wait for something to fall, you know, through the sky. God is going to drop some idea in your head. Take it and run with it. Take it and run with it. Don't waste your time. Take it and run with it. And as you do that, depend on God and let God, like you said, manage it.
That's it. You know, while you're at it, you know, you can find my ministry on YouTube. It's this Dajourney production, Dajourney, Instagram, Dajourney. So all over, it's this Dajourney production. We have a few projects coming out. As I said, DJ Nicholas' Abnormal album is going to be a great one. It's different. Jason Mighty is also doing an album, and also take a time and check out the local artists around the place. There's a lot of people that are doing some fantastic work, and these people are putting in their heart and soul into their music, and all they need is just somebody to listen.
Yeah, and it's amazing the amount of talent that I'm beginning to discover in our city. We got some amazing talents. So if you're on Instagram, look for, I think, Toronto Gospel Music. I think thank God for Jennifer Lewin trying to create this hub where you can find all Canadian artists. Canadian, but it goes by the name Toronto Gospel Music, and they're just some amazing stuff. I'm actually trying to work on a collaboration with Shauna Kane on a trap song. I love a song, and one of these I'm gonna get her here is that I'm a spirit. I'm a spirit. First time I heard of, I laughed, but man, that's cool though. You know, but we got so much talent in our city, and we need to learn another. So again, go on Instagram, look for Dajourney. Go on YouTube, look for his channel, Dajourney Production, and subscribe to it. Follow him on Instagram. Share with your friends, and let's really appreciate, embrace what God has given us in our city.
Let's connect. That's it. Connection.
All right. So again, it's been a blessing hanging with you. Dajourney. My regards to the family. And I'm gonna play your song here and let people jam away with it. And you know, for those of you on iTunes and stuff like that, you can go ahead and look for his songs. You know what you do? Find all his songs. Look for Dajourney as an artist, and when you're going to bed, just put it on repeat and let it play. Let it play. Burn that thing out. Stream it until there's no more. All right. So we didn't get a chance to talk about the business side of music, but I'm just giving y'all listeners a little tip. Stream it so that we
God bless you, man. My regards to the family as well, and keep in touch. And we need to do some work.
For sure. I'm still holding you to it. I'm waiting for my track.
I got you covered, brother. Love you, man. Take care.
You too.
Bye.
All right. All right, everybody, once again, we thank you for hanging with us. We appreciate you. Don't forget, every Tuesday, mark it on the calendar at 8 o'clock, right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, Music and Jesus. And next week, I have another surprise guest on the show. But for now, let's enjoy this original from Dajourney, Feel Like Pressing.
On my way to glory, I feel pressing on the King's highway. Hey, Lord, yeah. Feel like pressing on. Feel like pressing on the King's highway. On my way to glory, Lord, I'm pressing on the King's highway. No matter what come your way, never give up, just pray. Wait your turn patiently. God will make a way one day. Many will laugh, they will say, show me that your God is real. The fact that I'm standing here is a testimony God's still there. Only you know what I've been through. Who could have set me free? Nobody but you. No. Hey, Lord, yeah, yeah. What I would be without you? Pressing on, I wanna be with you. Yeah. So I'm blessed, Lord, when I feel like pressing on. Feel like pressing on the King's highway. I'm on my way to glory, Lord. I'm pressing on the King's highway. Feel